Hello watch collectors! There were a lot of new releases this year, most of which came during Watches and Wonders back in April. Now, 7 months later, how are these watches doing? Are they still hot? Were they hot to begin with? In this video, let's take a closer look at some of the most notable new watches this year. All the data in this video comes from WatchCharts, the world's leading secondary watch market research platform. Dive into the data yourself at WatchCharts.com. Let's start with the new and somewhat controversial Land-Dweller collection from Rolex. The design is a modern callback to the Oyster quartz watches of the 1970s, but the real story is actually inside the case. The caliber 7135 is Rolex's first high-frequency movement running at 5 Hz or 36,000 vibrations per hour. It features the brand's first ever in-house escapement design, the Dynapulse system, and has an exhibition case back that allows you to examine and appreciate the movement in detail. The Land-Dweller is offered in multiple materials and 2 different sizes. We have now tracked enough transactions to paint a clear picture of how 3 particular watches have been performing. Starting with the stainless steel Land-Dweller 40 with the white gold fluted bezel reference 127334, it made its debut on the secondary market around $50,000 in June and currently trades for $37,800 against a retail price of just $15,350. That means it carries the highest value retention out of all watches in our database. The smaller sibling, the Land-Dweller 36, reference 127234, trades for $28,100 relative to its $14,450 retail price tag. Meanwhile, the rose gold Land-Dweller 36, reference 127235, also commands a significant premium, retailing for $43,300 and trading for $52,400. For us to have a clearer picture of the market's reaction to these new releases, it is very helpful to look at how the prices have evolved over the few months that they have been on the market for. This graph shows the date on the horizontal axis and value retention on the vertical axis, which we define as the premium or discount a watch trades for on the secondary market relative to its retail price. The 40mm steel model landed on the secondary market in June. It first traded for more than 200% above retail, so essentially triple the retail price tag. About 2 weeks later, the 36mm steel model appeared on the secondary market as well at about 150% above retail. Then, after another 3 weeks, the rose gold model started being listed at about double retail. When we look at how the prices have evolved over the past few months, we can see clearly that all 3 watches have become cheaper since their debut. Just like how most of us have expected, the collectors who want to be the first to get their hands on a new watch are always willing to pay hefty premiums, and that's especially true for a completely new collection like the Land-Dweller. As the novelty wears off and as more watches enter the primary and thus the secondary markets, the price will go down. In fact, I don't think the Land-Dwellers have really stabilized in price just yet, as each of these price histories still looks to be trending downwards a little bit. I guess people are still in the process of trying to figure out how much these watches should be worth. As a side note, the relative positions of these watches fits the general patterns of the steel models having higher value retention than their gold counterparts, and the larger models commanding higher premiums than their smaller counterparts. During Watches and Wonders, Rolex also introduced the white gold version of the left-handed Sprite GMT Master, reference 126729 VTNR. It retails for $48,050. It was trading for around $62,000 in May, but has since come down to around $49,600. That means this watch is trading just slightly above retail. In fact, this watch has been trading within $1,000 of the $50,000 price point since August, so an argument can definitely be made here that the price has mostly stabilized. Finally, Rolex also updated the Oyster Perpetual lineup, introducing pastel dials across all sizes. Only the 41mm version received a new case profile and thus a new reference number, replacing the previous reference 124300 with the new reference 134300. Across all dial variants, the new Oyster Perpetual 41 averages $10,600 on the secondary market versus a retail price of $6,650. The price has been mostly stable since the first examples hit the secondary market back in April, trading around the $11,000 mark. Tudor actually had a busy year with an impressive lineup of new releases. The Black Bay 54 received a new color this year, the Lagoon Blue reference 79000. Introduced in June and available on the secondary market shortly after, it traded for as high as $4,400 in July, but has since fallen to $3,900, against a current retail price of $4,550. We can compare this watch to the black dial version of the Black Bay 54, which now trades for $3,100 or 30% below its retail price tag. This is noticeably lower than how much it was going for in its first year. To better compare the 2 watches, let's look at this graph. The horizontal axis is the number of days since a watch has landed on the secondary market, and the vertical axis represents the value retention using today's retail prices. The black dial variant traded at a premium at first, but has since then gradually declined. Now, let's add the lagoon blue variant introduced this year. We'll notice that the general pattern so far is fairly similar to the first 150 days or so of the black dial variant. Will the similarity continue as the lagoon blue dial's novelty wears off, or will it continue to have a value retention of just around minus 15%? I guess time will tell, but the lagoon blue variant doesn't look to have stabilized in price just yet. The Black Bay 58 collection also received a new variant. Retailing for $4,850, this watch with a burgundy dial and a Meta-certified caliber currently trades for around $4,000. It's actually been at this price point for a few months now, so it mostly indicates that the price for this watch has mostly settled at this level in the short term. And that would be good news for this watch, since that would mean that it holds its value much better than the other watches in the Black Bay 58 collection, including the black dial variant, the blue dial variant, and the variant with the silver case. Before you comment that all Tudor does is to introduce new variants, it actually did introduce 2 all-new series this year. Available on either a silver dial or a blue dial, the Black Bay 68 is pretty beefy, coming with a 43mm by 14mm case. It has 200 meters of water resistance and a Meta-certified movement with 70 hours of power reserve. There's actually not that much hype about this series, so the price has been mostly stable since launch, currently trading for $3,900 relative to a retail price of $5,075. Another large watch new for this year is the Titanium Pelagos Ultra. Coming on a 43mm by 15mm case with 1,000 meters of water resistance, is trading for $5,200, about 20% below retail. In general, all the new Tudor releases this year are actually holding value pretty well compared to the brand average value retention of minus 40%. We actually fairly recently did a video discussing Tudor in more detail, so please go check it out if you're interested in the brand. In January of this year, Vacheron Constantin unveiled a stainless steel version of the Historique 222, which I'm a huge fan of. Compared to the Gold 222 that was released in 2022, it shares the same vintage features, the same movement, and the same dimensions of 37mm in diameter and 8mm in thickness. While the first examples were trading for around $54,000 back in April, the price has come down to just around $50,000. Against a current retail price of $33,300, this watch carries the highest value retention among all Vacheron models. However, it is again helpful to look at what happened to the Gold 222, which initially traded way above retail before the price gradually declined to a current value retention of minus 15%. When we graph out the value retention over time since launch, we notice that the Gold 222 traded at around 50% above retail at first. Coincidentally, that's just about how much the Steel 222 is trading for at the moment. Will it follow the footsteps of the Gold 222? Only time will tell, but I think it'll at least trade above retail for a long while. It's a promising sign that by day 200, the Gold 222 had already fallen drastically from the initial price level, while that hasn't really happened yet for the Steel 222. IWC also had a popular release, the Green Dial Ingenieur 40, reference 328908. Inspired by a watch worn by Brad Pitt in the F1 movie, it currently retails for $14,300 and trades for $17,400. In fact, this is the only watch at the moment from IWC that trades above retail on the secondary market. The Green Dial variant is holding value much better than the standard variants of the collection that came out in 2023, including the Black Dial, the Silver Dial, and the Aqua Dial. I don't think it's likely for the Green Dial to crash drastically because of the F1 movie association and also because it was limited to 1,000 pieces. This year, Patek Philippe expanded its Cubitus collection with 2 new references, the White Gold 7128/1G and the Rose Gold 7128/1R. While they have not hit the secondary market in sufficient numbers for us to report market prices, we can check the market performance of the 3 references that were released in October 2024. The stainless steel reference 5821/1A retails for about $50,000. It traded for almost $200,000 when the first examples debuted on the secondary market in October 2024, just about a year ago, but the price has gradually come down as more watches hit the market. Currently, it's trading at about $90,000, about 80% above retail. The two-tone counterpart reference 5821/1AR retails for $75,000 and trades for $93,000. This is a significant decline from its high of $165,000 back in October 2024. There is also the Platinum reference 5822P with the instantaneous grand date and day and moon phases, which currently retails for $107,000 and trades for $147,000. Even though the Steel 5821 and the Platinum 5822 have come down drastically from when they first hit the market, all three watches are still trading very comfortably above retail. Given the overall negative reaction of watch collectors to the Cubitus collection, the market performance of these watches is a little surprising, if not ironic. Which new watch this year caught your attention? Please let us know down in the comments. Check out our website WatchCharts.com, where you can explore pricing for over 28,000 watches, track market trends, and even monitor collections value over time. And if you're looking to buy or sell among fellow collectors, head over to our marketplace at marketplace.watchcharts.com. Our previous video looks at what the same budget would get you now versus back in 2022 during the peak of the watch market boom. So please go check it out if you haven't. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.